Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today, let's take a look at the Honda Goldwing Tour GL1800. This is my dad's dream motorcycle. He put over 10,000 miles on it, and I've been riding it for the last couple of weeks to get my bearings with this bike. I personally have a Honda CBR600rr, which weighs about half as much as this, doesn't have nearly the same tech features or the same comfort as the Goldwing, being an iconic cruising motorcycle. So this Goldwing is finished off in Candy Ardent Red with an MSRP that starts just under $30,000. Now this is powered by the 1833cc horizontally opposed 6-cylinder engine. This bike here has the 6-speed manual with the reverse gear. A DCT transmission is also available. Pumps out 124 horsepower, 125 pound-feet of torque. It's shaft driven to the rear wheel. Dry weight is right around 845 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds with a top speed of 112 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 5.5 gallons. You'll expect to see around 40 miles per gallon combined. This also has a wheelbase of 66.9 inches. Its overall length is 102.9. It has a width of 35.6, a height of 56.4. Ground clearance is 5.1 inches, and the seat height is 29.3 inches. Now, as we move on to the exterior styling, up front, this does have a height adjustable windshield. So out on the highway, that is extremely usable, especially on windy days. You can raise that up and give yourself not only better visibility, but a comfortable, more smooth ride. This also has manually folding side mirrors here, which do have the integrated turn signal up front. You'll notice the Honda badge just underneath the windshield. There's also the headlights and high beams. And then up front, this has the double wishbone with the Showa shock absorbers, 4.3 inches of travel up front, and this has 6-piston brake calipers as well. So plenty of stopping power for this heavy bike. Now, as we work our way to the side, this also has somewhat of this crash bar here surrounding the fog lights too. There's also the highway pegs, so you can flip those out on those longer cruises and stretch your legs out a good bit. As we work our way to the back, this has a ProLink system for the suspension with the Showa absorbers, 4.1 inches of travel, and there's 3-piston brake calipers for that rear tire. Now, with this Goldwing 2 being the touring model, it comes with this upper section. So that is basically your trunk space, and you have saddlebags on both sides. Now, with this bike, there are 4 compartments that will not open unless you have the key fob within proximity. So you have your cargo boxes on both sides here, which can fit a good bit of items. And then you have the release for the back one just underneath, where, just to show you some space, I have my helmet, I have all of my camera gear, and I have a pretty large water bottle too. I've done some grocery shopping runs with this. I've put in all of my gear, my helmet, pants, and even boots as well. I currently have a bike cover in this side. I have some rain gear and some extra tie downs to place in more items as well. But you do have this, which I believe was an option that my dad installed, and you can even tie some items here for additional storage. So honestly, this is an incredibly versatile bike and very nice for commuting if you have quite a lot of items. Now, for the passenger seat here, you can also install additional armrests that are not on this bike. This is even a heated rear seat. You do have grab handles, and I've used that to strap in some items if I don't have a passenger on back. And this is also an upgraded seat. So for the backrest for the driver, it does fold down, giving you better access to swing your leg. There's also a storage pocket on the backside, so your passenger can place in some items there as needed. And you can also see part of the audio sound system in back. Now, this bike also has a center stand. You can utilize that only from the driver's side, and then of course there's the normal kickstand. And now, as we hop onto the bike, for all of the controls, we'll start on this left handlebar. So being the manual, this has the clutch lever. There's also the high beams that you can adjust. There's volume, and then this control is for the windshield. So you can raise that up a good bit just to give yourself a little bit more protection from the wind. And there's also this adjustable plate here. So you can pop that up if you want even more airflow to come in, just depending on if it's a hot or a cold day. Now, also on this left side, there's the turn signals. There's also source for your audio. You have a home button to go through some of the information within the gauge cluster. I will come back to that. There's the horn, voice commands as well. You have different arrows to go through your audio, different tracks, things like that. And then on the right side, we have our throttle, front brake. This is for the ignition, so you can start the bike up. There's also a few different driving modes. So there's sport mode, economy mode, rain, and touring. So you can adjust those quickly on the fly. This has cruise control, and then there's the hazards as well. Now, before we get to all of those controls, this does have another storage bin where you have that USB, so you can hook up your phone for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This is the only compartment that does not lock. You also have an additional compartment on the side where you also have the release for your fuel. And then you have a little bit of storage. You can place items there. That one will lock when the key fob is away, and that's how you can gain access to fill this bike up. Now, as we work our way to all of these controls, there's ignition up top here, so this is how you can turn on your accessories. When you go to the left and hold it to the left or counterclockwise for a few seconds, you can actually lock the handlebars in that position, which is nice. And then for the rest of the controls, there's the heated grips, heated seats, you have some audio adjustments, fog light adjustments, and then if we push on the home icon, now we can use this rotary dial here and start scrolling through some of this. So you'll notice there's audio source, and if you push on source on the left handlebar, you can go through all these, including Bluetooth for your phone and even the auxiliary located in that lower compartment. There's also navigation, so you do have built-in nav for this. You can get into your phone, some of those settings when it's paired. Under vehicle, you have the auto cancel turn signal. There's also 4 different suspension presets. So you have single rider with gear, dual rider no gear, and then dual rider with gear. So you can adjust that as needed. You also have several other adjustments that you can get into as well. And then under audio settings, you have different sound settings, so you can set up the audio. Of course, general information here to scroll through, including Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There's Bluetooth settings, so you can pair your phone. You can also pair headsets from your helmets, where you have the rider and your passenger headset pairing, which is pretty neat. And then you have different phone settings as well. And now that I have my phone and my headset paired, we can go through the Apple CarPlay. So you do have to have a headset paired, and now I can get into Apple CarPlay where I can look at this like a normal screen on a vehicle. Now this is not touchscreen, which I think would be cool, but you can at least use the rotary dial to scroll through your contacts. You can get through all of this information and then keep scrolling and looking at these split pages here. So pretty neat to see this and go through all of your icons that you have set up. If you get into Honda, this will go back to your normal settings. Now, this also has voice commands, so I can even use this icon with my headset paired, push on that, talk into my headset. Let's see if my brother answers. Call, hey, I'm calling you on the bike for the video. Okay, bye. And then you can just push on voice commands and end that phone call. I don't have the most sophisticated headset, so that could be different, of course, with the different headset modules that you go with. Now for the rest of the gauge cluster, miles per hour is on the left. You can also toggle through information using select and set. So in the lower section, we can look at PSI for the front and rear tires along with the range that we have. Push on select to get to the top where there's air and miles per hour, and then you can look at odometer along with trip A and trip B. On the right side, there's the tach, what gear you're in, and then it will show you any error messages here. So I currently have one of the saddlebags open. I didn't close it all the way, so that's a good catch. It'll show you the mode you're in, so we have one person, and then we have the engine temperature and some other indicators that will pop up as well. So with the bike started up now, let's go over reverse. You do have to be in neutral to activate it. Push this button on the right side that has an R. You'll hold it until it shows R, and then you'll use this button on the left side as your assistance for reverse. So because the weight of this bike, in not all situations will you be able to man it and back it up. Once you're done, push on the R button again till it engages in neutral, and then for this bike, we are ready to set off with the manual. Now with the DCT transmission, I believe those have reverse as well. It will probably have a similar design with engaging reverse. But with the Honda Goldwing here, I've been able to ride quite a lot of bikes. I've only owned one street legal bike, and that is my Honda CBR600, which again is about half the weight of this Goldwing. So when I first started riding this bike, I took it to an empty parking lot and really familiarized myself with the weight of this bike, what you can do in slow speed situations, and just how it maneuvers. It's a very different seating position than basically being on the top of the front tire on my sport bike. You are relaxed a good bit on this. Now, one thing that I also had to learn is how much you can lean this bike. I've scraped the toes of my boots because I am not used to having the foot pegs quite as low as this bike. So obviously that's not the style with this. That's just the background I come from, having my sport bike and growing up racing. You can still take some turns with this bike. You just have to be careful how close you get on some of these turns and leaning it. Now what I've also noticed, I'm still getting familiar with this bike. The dial that we were using before is now your audio. So you can't go through all the information. You have to use the handlebar controls now to get home and to scroll through all of this. So it basically cuts it out so that way you keep your hand on the handlebar rather than going through these. So these are all basically for being parked, aside from the heated seats and heated steering wheel will turn on, and those icons will pop up on the right side. Now with this bike as well, we have the different driving modes, so we'll put into sport mode where the throttle response definitely gets improved. And as you can tell, I currently have the windshield in the highest position just to help with some audio for today. But this is not a slow bike. Being an 1800, it redlines around 6,000. My CBR is closer to 16,000, so you don't redline or rev this bike out too much, but here we go. Looks like I got maybe to redline there. And we're gonna take it much slower around these turns. Obviously this is more of a touring style bike, but coming from the sport bike world, I can still have some fun on this. It's definitely an enjoyable bike. It's really good for commuting. With all of the stuff I've been able to fit on this and not have it in backpacks on my back and strapping stuff to the back of the seat, this is a really nice combination. Now of course there's other bikes out there that will give you a little bit more of that sporty feel and some of the practicality. I could put some saddlebags on my Honda, but it's just not as comfortable as something like this as you would expect. So I hate to say it, the older you get, the more comfortable you want to be, but I've had my CBR for 11 years now, and now that I've been riding this for about a month or so, a month and a half, it's kind of hard to want to ride my bike long distances, because this also has the highway bars here, which you can stretch out. You got cruise control, you can just relax, listen to music because you have speakers up front there, and just hang out and enjoy the ride. So the Honda Goldwing, I can see why this is such a popular cruising style bike. It has quite a lot to offer, and it's something that people go on cross-country tours. I know people that have run these up to 100,000 miles, and it's just something that you can comfortably have a passenger with and go on some very fun adventures. You can do a little bit of performance style driving like I just did. I don't know how many Goldwing owners are doing that. I might be one of the few showcasing some of the performance there, because I still like performance. Now it's also not that loud either. I've kind of thought about doing an aftermarket exhaust, but at the same time too, it's just very comfortable to just cruise. Get cruise control on, give your right hand a brake there, and just go for a ride. Nothing but the wind, and just enjoying being outside. So that is going to wrap it up for the Honda Goldwing. This is a bike that my dad enjoyed, and it's time for me to enjoy it as well. So if you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads. I'll see you all in the next video.